Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Dai, and today I will be sharing with you my first impressions on the Monochrome Manga Club selections for the month of January. So the Monochrome Manga Club is an in-real-life manga club that I host where we read 2 first-in-a-series selections, and we're currently doing 2 full series reads. So the selections for January were Volume 1 of Medalist, story and art by Tsuru Maikata. This one is published by Kodansha Rated Teen. We also read Volume 1 of Dogsred. This has story and art by Satoru Noda. It's published by Viz and is rated older teen. We finished our series read of Haikyuu by Haruichi Furudate. This one is published by Viz rated teen. So we read volumes 43, 44, and 45, finishing our series read of this. And then we started a new series read, and that was Dr. Stone by reading volumes 1, 2, and 3. This one is by Riichiro Inagaki, art by Boichi, published by Viz, rated teen. So as we are not at the beginning of Haikyuu, I will not be sharing my thoughts with you on this. But if you would like to hear my thoughts on it, you can check out my Desus 19 diaries. With that being said, let's get into my thoughts on Medalist. So this story follows an 11-year-old girl who wants nothing more than to ice skate. Her mom is not very supportive of this because her older sister had a bad experience, but she wants this so much that she goes and collects worms for the guy at the ice rink so that she can get some time on the ice. And then we follow a guy who's like in his mid-20s, and he's an ice skater and has been competing, but he is now contemplating whether or not to retire when he bumps into our young female whose name is Inori, and she's, paying for her ice skating time with the worms, and he basically tells her off, like, you can't do that. But she's like, I have no other options, my mom's not supportive. And as they get to know each other, he decides that he wants to coach her. So we start this journey of the two of them kind of starting from the ground up. And, Inori is old as far as a beginner skater to kind of aspire to what she is trying to aspire to. But her coach can see that she has some talent and picks up things and is very enthusiastic about learning and growing. And so we follow them going through their first kind of learning stages, him learning to coach, her actually having some proper guidance in what she is striving to do. And, it also comes with kind of doing some tests, proving that she can master certain skills and kind of getting her the recognition from passing those tests, which are all stepping stones to hopefully getting her to compete in bigger competitions and things, and meeting other kids that are at the rink and how they kind of react to her doing this at her age. And so I read this one digitally, and I did enjoy this one. I will have to say, though, that I am not a big fan of reading about parents who are not supportive of their children, especially when we're talking about children this young. The mom really, really rubbed me the wrong way. And, you can kind of see her mom change her perspective a little bit after seeing how much Inori wants this. But at the same time, her mom's like putting a cap basically on how long she's going to allow her kid to do this. And I just didn't like that very much. I think the way Inori is drawn, you can't really believe that she's as old as they say. To me, she does definitely look younger than 11. And even with the way that she reacts to certain things and just how she acts in general, I would have definitely believed you if you told me that she was 7 or 8 years old. To me, there was a little bit of a disconnect there, but I am enjoying seeing how Inori and her coach are kind of growing together. I enjoyed the kind of testing phases and her meeting other skaters. You definitely get the same kind of thing where parents are gossiping about her as it happens. You know, my daughter did dance while she was growing up as well, so it's very familiar a situation to read about, but I didn't like that either. But it's just something, I guess, that comes with the territory, unfortunately. And you can kind of see how Inori reacts to the hateful things that are being said about her and how other kids are treating her for trying to do something at her age and things like that. So while I do have 2 more volumes to read, I am very interested to continue to watch her journey and see her growth and how she masters, certain things like jumps, which is always so exciting, right? And, how her and her coach continue to grow and see like what heights she's going to actually be able to reach. So I really enjoyed this one. We'll definitely be continuing, and I'm looking forward to watching her journey. So let's get on to Dogsred now. So this one is about a figure skater who has been competing for a bit. He, at the beginning of this volume, is at a competition, but he was in an accident, a vehicle accident that killed his mom. And he did not come out of that unscathed either, but he competed anyway and actually did a pretty good job. However, there was some kind of outburst and he kind of tarnished his reputation, and nobody knows why he had that outburst. And so now he is moving to a new area. Him and his sister are being taken in by their grandparent, and he's kind of just checking out the area when he sees a frozen over pond, and he decides to take his skates out and test out the ice. Well, this ice has a hockey goal already set up on it, and the area that is right by the goal is very, very smooth, and so it's perfect ice skating texture for him to do what he knows and has been doing. And these other kids come by and tell him, you can't skate there, and he doesn't understand. And then things happen, and he ends up getting recruited by this team of hockey players because they're pretty much at the point where they need to disband. They're not very good as far as the teams go. Their ability is pretty low, but they need an extra player. And so he ends up joining them on the ice for this, what is being thought to be the team's last game. And so we kind of follow him through that experience in this first volume. So I enjoyed this one. It definitely has a few things where I'm not too clear on, the whole reason why he had that outburst at the ice skating competition. I think it's going to be something that you definitely need to read further on in order to be able to get that answer and why he reacted that way. I mean, obviously he's dealing with the death of his mom. His mom was the one who did lots of things for him and was always there for him during the competitions and things. She even choreographed his routines, I believe, and made his costumes. So she did quite a bit for him. And so he's dealing with that. It definitely kind of gave me a Mighty Ducks type of feel, with the whole meeting the hockey team on a pond, them being not very great players, and, you know, kind of the new kind of blood to the team kind of actually helping them. So I enjoyed that part. It's definitely not exactly like Mighty Ducks, but it gave me the same kind of feel a little bit. And so I appreciated that a lot. And overall, I did enjoy this one, even though, like I said, there are things where I feel like I was missing something, like with the outburst, like it's not told to you. There was another place where I feel like the storytelling was a little bit not fluid. And so, yeah, I am interested in continuing this with this one. I read it on the Shonen Jump app. I will say that if I had to buy the volumes in order to continue with the story, I probably wouldn't. But because it's already part of the Shonen Jump app, which is a subscription that I already pay for anyway, I will definitely be continuing on to read more of the series. So we did start a new series this month, like I said, which was Dr. Stone. I am going to give you my thoughts on it, but let me preface this by saying that this is not going to be quite a first impression for me, because I have watched the first season of the Dr. Stone anime. I watched it many years ago, and so it wasn't a fresh watch, but I will tell you that as I was reading, I did recognize a lot of what had happened in these 3 volumes. So Dr. Stone is a story that basically focuses on this group of high school kids, and we meet them at the beginning of the story. They're in high school. You get to know them a little bit before something happens and the world, basically everybody in the world turns to stone. Something happens and everybody gets petrified. Then fast forward several thousand years later, and we see one of the characters that we met at the beginning kind of emerge from his petrification. Come to find out, his friend Senku had already been released from the petrification several months prior. So the two meet up, and Senku is very smart in the sciences. You know that right off the bat in the beginning of the volume, the first volume. And so he's kind of been making his living, like making clothes and trying to figure out how to unpetrify things. And he like made a place to kind of live, and he basically was just waiting for his friend to basically come back to like life. And so we follow the two of them kind of figuring out how to unpetrify things and who they're going to unpetrify first, how this is going to work, and their journey in this world that is now so different from what they knew. It is a very kind of science heavy story. And I will say that for me, some of it kind of bogged down the story a little bit. I'm not very into like the sciencey aspect. Some of it is interesting, of course. But a lot of times when Senku is like explaining things, it can kind of bring the momentum of the story down, I guess, a little bit for me. But I do enjoy the characters that we've met so far. For me, I feel like Senku was portrayed much older as far as his visuals in the manga than he is in the anime. Now, again, I watched the anime years ago, so it's just basically what I remember. And it might just be like, you know, you've got those little bit of comedic moments or when he's making an expression that stick out in my mind the most, that I'm like not remembering exactly what he had looked like in the anime. And sometimes when things like that happen in anime, they do tend to look younger, right? And so I think maybe it might be that I'm not remembering correctly, but I haven't actually watched any Dr. Stone after reading these 3 volumes, but he did seem to look a little bit older to me. Everybody else did look as I had remembered. And like I said, I remembered pretty much everything that happened in these 3 volumes. So it was really interesting. I do think the anime works a little bit better for me, but I'm interested to see how I feel once we get to a part of the story that I haven't watched yet, because I won't have like the memories of watching when we read the volumes that encapsulate the next part of the story. And so for right now, I am enjoying it. It's definitely nice to revisit what I had watched, and there are definite things and characters that I did enjoy while I was watching the anime. And so I'm looking forward to continuing with this one. So those are my thoughts on our first in a series selections. Before I let you go, I do want to let you know what we will be reading in the month of February. So in the month of February, our volume 1 selections will be Marriage Toxin by Jumyaku and illustrated by Mizuki Yoda. This one is published by Viz, rated older teen. So this one says, as a deadly assassin from the Poison Clan, Gero swears he'll never settle down. That is, until the family orders his sister to produce the Poison Clan's next heir. Refusing to let his sister abandon her chance at true love with her girlfriend, Gero desperately turns to marriage swindler Mei Kinosaki for relationship advice. Can Kinosaki turn this trained killer into a charming husband-to-be? So I thought that sounded funny, and it is on Shonen Jump, the app, and so I will be reading it there. Looking forward to some shenanigans, possibly with that one. And then for our second first in a series selection, we will be reading volume 1 of Monthly in the Garden with My Landlord. So this one is by Yodokawa, published by Yen Press, rated teen. So this one follows manga editor Asako Suga deciding to move into a new home. And it's just the thing she needs to get over a painful breakup with her toxic ex-girlfriend. She finds the perfect place for rent. Affordable, spacious, lovely garden included, but there's one catch. The house comes with a live-in landlord. It's disappointing enough that Asako can't have the single life she hoped for, but her cute landlord also seems to be hiding a big secret. Will living together bring them closer or turn out to be more trouble than it's worth? So I thought this one looked really cute, and I'm looking forward to checking this one out. And then we will be reading Dr. Stone, volumes 4, 5, and 6. Again, I will be reading those off of the Shonen Jump app. And then because we finished Haikyuu, we will be starting our next series read. And so the club decided that they would like to read Land of the Lustrous. So we are going to be doing one volume of this every month until it's done. This one is by Haruko Ichikawa, published by Kodansha, rated teen. So this is actually a volume that I had read previously. So it is something that I am familiar with, but I'm looking forward to revisiting this story because it has been a few years. This one says, searching for purpose in a world inhabited by crystalline life forms called the Lustrous. Every unique gem must fight for their way of life against the threat of lunarians who would turn them into decorations. Phosphophylite, I think that's how you pronounce it, the most fragile and brittle of gems, longs to join the battle. When Phos is instead assigned to complete a natural history of their world, it sounds like a dull and pointless task. But this new job brings Phos into contact with Cinnabar, a gem forced to live in isolation. Can Phos's seemingly mundane assignment lead both Phos and Cinnabar to the fulfillment they desire? So, very interested to revisit this one. When we had first read it for the Monochrome Manga Club was when I started posting my first impressions videos. So I don't know that I will be including this one in next month's first impressions, but I am looking forward to seeing what I think of this now that it's been a few years. I think the last time I had touched this series at all was back in 2021, so it's been a bit. I'm interested to see what I think now, if I remember anything, which I think I do, but I'm very interested to finally getting through this series in its entirety, and so I'm really, really looking forward to this one. So that's everything I have for you today. Let me know down in the comments below if you've read any of these series and what you thought of them, but please no spoilers. Feel free to join us in any of our series reads or first in a series selection reads. You can do so by either reading the volumes and commenting down below in videos like these, or you can join our Discord, which is linked down in the description box below. So let me know if you will be joining us for any of our reads. Again, if you have read any of them, what you thought of them. And if nothing else, and you'd just like to let me know that you were here, if you could leave me, is there a gemstone emoji or like a piece of jewelry or even a rainbow down in the comments below? It would be greatly appreciated and would really help me out. And that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.